Hi everybody and welcome to Sin Gaming. The reason why this particular video is late with its release is because for the past couple of days, up to a week actually, I have encountered a very strange crashing issue that completely hindered the possibility of playing the game and with it, recording the footage for the said video. Now the mod list that I used for video showcases has over 1,500 mods, making the process of troubleshooting extra time consuming and you can probably imagine quite stressful as well. I technically could have recorded this video on another one of the mod lists I have saved up, however, I felt that most of you watching videos produced enjoy high visual fidelity of the game presented, and would feel like a downgrade if I uploaded a video with the mod list that does not look as good as the original list. To make the long story short, I've spent the last 4 days troubleshooting all of the mods and the patches that ensures consistency between them, with many hours locating the issue. Regardless, the game is back up and stable, and after 12 hours of extensive testing, I was finally able to start collecting footage for this video. Nevertheless, welcome back to Weekly Dose of Skyrim mods, and as usual, let's take a look what the community has been releasing in the past few weeks. The beginning of 2021 arguably has had the best month in a mod quality released in the past few years for sure, and I am excited to present some of them in this video. Let's jump straight into it, shall we? As it seemed to be a running theme with a lot of the previous episodes of Weekly Dose, we'll make it no different this time and check out the latest update of my favorite ENB available on the Nexus for Skyrim Special Edition, and that's Rudy's ENB for Cathedral weathers, more specifically Zangdar's edit and added Reshade. As I have covered this particular preset in a past episode showcasing personally selected favorite mods of the year 2020, I'll avoid including all of the details about the preset's goal and what it attempts to present, but rather focus on changelogs of this new update and its visual improvements and newly added features. The ENB preset has recently received an update to work well in tandem with previously covered Dynamic Volumetric Lighting and Sun Shadows SKSC plugin mod, a mod that improves in-game lighting to properly cast shadows throughout the full day, rather than only a period between 10 AM and 4 PM, which was the case with the base game. With that being said, it's important to note that this plugin is a hard requirement in order to get the best possible appearance for this particular update of the ENB preset. With the update, Rudy and Zangdar worked hand in hand together to edit and rework all of the weathers provided by Cathedral Weathers mod to showcase the full potential of that same SKSC plugin and with it, in-game volumetric lighting and shadow casting. With the introduction of improved volumetric lighting and sun shadow cast, it has become increasingly popular to capture sunrises and sunsets in various of different Discord servers and online platforms where modding communities preside, and I myself am no different and will do my due diligence to provide some of these cinematic shots in the background. The preset itself has actually significantly changed, especially noticeable when updating, as volumetric lighting provided by DVLASS makes the game darker in some areas due to the improved shadow casting, so it was necessary to brighten the ENB itself to compensate. This resulted in a more vibrant and a brighter feel of the game, which is not necessarily an improvement for some, but definitely a noticeable change that will impress most ENB users looking to max out the visual fidelity of their games. The preset remained true to my biggest reason of it being my most favorite one, and that is the distant terrain presentation, plus Zangdar has added some additional lens effects too, which, like most effects, can be turned off if they're not your cup of tea. I want to say that I'm partially responsible for this lens effect, as I have been personally asking for these during the development, but I don't want to take credit for something I could potentially have no influence in. Regardless, lens effects are in my opinion absolutely awesome, and it is personally something I always wanted added for that immersive experience that I enjoy getting from playing in first person. The final verdict? Well, although I thought impossible, without a doubt both Rudy ENB and Zangdar's edit have managed to further improve the preset for the better, and you absolutely owe it to yourself to try it out. Final note that is important to mention that these presets are not performance friendly and expect decent frame drops if using both, with Zangdar's edit being extra heavyweight on your hardware due to added effects by Reshade. Next up, we'll check out recently released Grass Overhaul that was trending on the Nexus for a good week or two, and that took the third place of the mods of the month February, and that's Folkvangr Grass and Landscape Overhaul. This Grass Overhaul and its incredible in-game implementation took the Nexus by storm mid-February and quickly became my favorite option in the recent period. The Grass Overhaul especially stands out due to its varietal nature, and rather than being one blanket season one-dimensional Grass Overhaul with the same aesthetic scattered across the full game, this one goes beyond to add new grass types for each of the holes. The mod author of Folkvangr took into the account each of the hold's aesthetics and its color palettes in order to keep up with the visual consistency, and while improving the grass all across Skyrim, tried to remain within the base game feel. This means that the Whiterun's tundra will no longer be unimmersively covered in lush green colors, but rather have a blanket of beautiful and lush dried yellow colored grass, while the forest of Falkreath will feature that same lush green grass with the small plants and miniature flowers, all adding diversity and variation. Another favorite feature of mine added by Folkvangr is the introduction of leaf litter in realistic places that are generated as grass in form of sticks, pine cones, pine needles, small leaves, and much more. This is particularly noticeable in Forests of Rift, where the mod author has also added new matching landscape textures to provide better transitions, all resulting in a more realistic presentation and further beautifies these areas in question. Hopefully the mod author plans to further expand on this, especially baking in leaf litter to other areas where it makes sense to keep that consistency at the highest level. The performance hit in my case was almost non-existent, but take that with a grain of salt, as there are many factors that determines this, from the INI settings to hardware capacity and so on. Since we're at the Flora overhauls, we can briefly check out Mari's Flora, a mod that finally packed together all of the individual plants released by the same author over time as a minor birthday reward for the community. Most of us by now will be familiar with these overhauls, as they have been releasing individually over a longer period of time, where the author has one by one overhauled flora and plants by improving their meshes, textures, and overall aesthetics. The list of changes go from nightshades, death bells, tundra cottons, nirnroots, and many more individual plants scattered across Skyrim lands. My two favorite overhauls coming from this pack are nirnroots and death bells, as they have received a complete overhaul in their mesh design, improving on the base game's idea of these plants' visuals, but also adding a minor touch of author's personal visual interpretation. Overall, the mod does exactly what it aims, and does so with the great visuals and implementation. Happy belated birthday, Mari. Moving on to the structure overhauls, this time the two mods by the same author that caught my eye this week, and that's WiZkiD's Imperial Forts and Pinewatch. As is the case with most of the WiZkiD's work, this high quality mod is a complete overhaul for both Imperial Forts and a Pinewatch building, with proper and related models with high quality textures and, my favorite, added parallax effects. The overhaul for Pinewatch includes a completely new model and a mesh for the building, while Imperial Forts have new exteriors, interiors, and metal structures completely changed. Imperial Fort's metallic surfaces use cube maps, and a lot of the UV maps have been further improved for that extra visual fidelity and presentation. Furthermore, thanks to the parallax effects, all of the surfaces included in Imperial Forts and Pinewatch building have gotten a 3D aspect that provides them with that sweet looking depth we all aim to add across many areas in the game. It's obviously important to note that in order to take advantage of this effect, it is required for users to have Parallax Shader Fix enabled for its maximum effectiveness and presentation. Imperial Fort Overhaul is compatible with one of my favorite mods ever released, Static Mesh Improvement, as well as ELFX, which are great bonuses for increased consistency if installed as a part of a lengthy mod list. Additionally, Pinewatch itself is also compatible with everything, as it does not change the layout of the building, just the model itself, and is an ESL flagged mod, saving you that precious slot in your load order. Overall, the texture quality and visual appearance of these meshes and models are supreme and definitely deserving of a praise. Next up, we have another interior overhaul recently released as a part of our relatively rapid releases of many prominent interiors from many shops, taverns, and places of interest, and this time we'll check out the City of Stones Inn, JK's Candlehearth Hall. As is the case with most recently released JK's interior overhauls, Candlehearth Hall has been introduced with properly placed clutter for that increased opulent feel for its interior, adding various of objects in places where it makes sense, and that makes the whole place feel more alive. The layout of the inn has received a relatively big layout change, as a full bottom floor or a basement area has been introduced with 3 extra rooms for travelers, a storage room for inn's produce, a small area with a fireplace, and a nicely tucked and cool looking bathtub. The bar has received additional change, and it has been expanded and split into 2 smaller bar areas with tons of new decorations, while the kitchen has also been modified to be a little bit more spacious and overall more flourishing in its appearance. As usual, the mod does clash with some other interior overhauls, but few users has included patches for distinct interiors, SFCO, and some other more popular mods. There is also a minor incompatibility with interesting NPCs mod, which I personally patched, and if interesting in this file, you can find it on my Discord server. Lastly, the mod author has added a small balcony area to the eastern side of the inn overlooking the smaller parts of the city with properly placed clutter and furniture. These exterior layout changes are relatively minor and do not in my experience conflict in any major way with popular city mods like JK Skyrim, Dawn of Skyrim, and Capital Windhelm expansion mod. Just as is the case with all of the previous overhauls, this one as well makes the inn feel less empty, more alive, and the mod itself is an ESL flag mod, once again saving you that precious plugin slot. I wanted to briefly use this video to additionally showcase a minor mod that I have personally created, as it was a relatively highly requested feature and frequently asked question in the past. The mod in question is a camera setup or a preset for smooth cam, and I gave it a somewhat convenient name, Synergy. This preset was mainly used in videos produced and released on this channel, and its creation primarily started for purposes of presenting scenery showcased, while keeping the player character on camera, and over time morphed into a hybrid that does both things based on weapon sheath and combat readiness. As is the nature of smooth cam, this is an extended and gradually tweaked preset primarily made for improved third-person experience with fast and smooth transitions and minimalistic HUD elements for increased immersion. The preset's objective is to provide a third-person and a modern combat experience, once again smooth but fast transitions for increased responsiveness in combat, while keeping the partial focus on a player character, especially in out-of-combat scenarios. To summarize, the camera angles are aimed to satisfy both combat and RP elements of playing the game, so it is catered to a specific playstyle. Footage in the background speaks for itself, and if there's a relatively moderate interest in this mod, I will be updating it over time as I make changes to it, while keeping the old versions available on the page for download. And finally, a quick look at the armory for this week, and we'll check out recently published Shields of Glory mod. This mod comes with a pack of 3 unique shields that players can craft at temper, and their looks and design are of supreme quality with high resolution textures and amazing meshes. Each shield has a unique appearance and are individually named, available to craft within the ebony smithing, and are by default heavy shields, almost like dragonplate but a little bit better than ebony in their stat values. My personal favorite from this selection is, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, Dwinwen, a shield with ridiculously high quality design and meshes, with cool engravings, symbols, and an eagle on top of the shield, but also preserved ruggedness all shields should have. Each of these shields has an individual stat boost through enchantments, and users can choose textures from 1k all the way up to 4k. The mod author has additionally provided ESL flagged files, once again saving you that precious plugin slot. Not much else to add, the footage speaks for itself, and its high quality design and amount of effort put into creating these comes as to no surprise from El Sopa. That's it for today's weekly dose, and as always, please remember to endorse the authors and their creations, and perhaps consider subscribing to this channel to help up with the last push towards 20,000 subscribers. I felt really bad for not uploading for almost 25 days, so to compensate, I will try my best to rapidly release few upcoming projects I have in the works in an accelerated pace compared to what I used to have as per my regular upload schedule. Consider joining the Discord server if you want to participate in various of discussions related to modding, maybe take part in the screenshot competitions, have a chance to get shoutout on the channel, or just become a part of a growing community. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.